All right, it's a little bit after 6 p.m. and we'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Murphysboro City Council to order. As we had said before the start of previous meetings, if you would remember to keep your phone on mute if you can when you're not addressing the council, that would be helpful. And then also, as we go throughout the course of the meeting, I will probably call for more roll call votes than usual to help keep with the meeting minutes as accurate as possible. So those two things stand as they have before. And with that being said, I will rise here in the council chambers and lead us in an invocation and then a pledge of allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and thank you for this opportunity to come together once again. We know there is great unrest throughout the country, Lord, and we just continue to pray protection over all those people that are dealing with the coronavirus. We pray for all those people who are in the midst of riots or looting or whatever the case might be. We pray that they would be safe. We would pray that in the midst of that, we would continue to have conversations that would help to bring understanding and peace to all of our communities throughout this country, including the city of Murphysboro. We pray that the decisions we make tonight will be well. We pray these things in your holy name. Amen. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Hunziker, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Hughes.
Present.
Alderman Curry-Witzman.
Present.
Alderman Brown. Alderman Pearson.
Here.
Alderman McComb.
Here.
Alderman Urvis.
Here.
Alderman Bratton.
Here.
Alderman Bastian.
Here.
Alderman Campos.
Here.
Alderman Pittman.
Here.
I guess I would note Alderman Brown did reach out to me earlier today before the meeting and said that he had a doctor's appointment today and that he was maybe going to be tuned into the meeting, but he might not be able to make it as well. And so we keep him in our thoughts and prayers as he is resting at home. All right, appreciate everyone's attendance, and we'll get into the agenda. First, we have the consideration of council minutes from May the 26th, 2020, included in your packet. Are there any questions or amendments to the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, this is Alderman Urvis. I did have one change or question.
Go ahead.
On page 5, Mayor's report, where we were talking about the billboard, I think it's about the 7th line from the bottom, where after it says Mr. Sheffer stated that he would require an IDOT permit, and that I said that it's not going to happen for a while, and that he wants us to pull the trigger, need to look real closely at the standards. I see the word he, I read that either as meaning me, he, or he, the developer. It should refer to the developer, not me. So if the word he could be changed to the word the developer, I would appreciate it.
Certainly, we'll make that change and appreciate you pointing that out.
Thank you.
Any other questions or amendments to the minutes? I would entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we so moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion from Alderman Bratton. We have a second from Alderman McComb. In this instance, because I don't believe that anybody will be voting no, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, no.
Aye.
All right, I believe that is unanimous, so motion carries and the minutes are adopted as amended. That takes us to the consideration of accounts payable, accounts receivable, and payroll registers. We have list 931 and list 932. And I would entertain any questions about the bills.
Mayor, this is Alderman Hughes. I have one question. 932, actually on page 13 of that. Hold on. I'm going to take you off this. On page 13 of 932, there is a Target Solutions Learning LLC for $1,400. As maintenance fee. I just don't know what membership and maintenance fee. I don't know what that is.
I would ask maybe Mr. Manwaring to clarify some. Maybe this is one of his. I'm not sure.
I believe that is the training software that the fire department uses. I'm pretty sure it's the fire department software, and I believe it's for training.
The account number is 0118.
Yeah, it's the software support line item, and like I said,
Okay.
I know it's fire department software, and I'm not 100% sure of the exact nature of that software, but I believe it's training software.
Okay, and is Chief McBride on that he could maybe answer that?
He is not on the call.
Okay, thank you for your help with it, Brian.
Alderman Bratton, I have a question on Register 932, page 1. For Ashley, for the per diem mileage, is this a fireman, a policeman, or what, telecommunicator, or what is this?
Ashley Rowell is a telecommunicator, yes. It was a EMD training. Chief Ellemeyer, can you help me out with that acronym?
Emergency medical dispatch training.
Is the emergency medical dispatch training.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
All right, any other questions on the bills? Ms. Hughes, would you like to hold that particular maintenance fee, or are you in support of paying that bill?
Just a second. Okay, I'm okay with paying it. I'm not sure what it is really, but that's okay.
All right, well, with that being said, is there a motion to pay the bills as
I'll make a
presented?
motion. I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Alderman McComb, a second from Ms. Hughes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? All right, motion carries. That takes us to the committee and commission reports. Up first, we have Budget and Finance chaired by W.J. Pittman. W.J.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no items under old business. Under new business, we have presentation of financial reports by Scott Evans. Like we had one page of reports for Mr. Evans.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Alderman Pittman. But it's a very important one, I think. So you'll notice that the sales tax, which I was a little nervous about for June, is actually $289,798, actually up $8,000 from the previous year. So we weren't quite sure how this is all going to play out, although I did tend to hope that the box stores and all the activity they have seen would more than make up for some of the loss of businesses or closure of businesses during March. And so it did, fortunately. That could have been much, much, much worse. Obviously, we could have been way, way down. So very happy to see that number
of 289. Remains to be seen what next month's going to be, because that's going to be the April sales, which, you know, a lot of the panic buying, so-called, would have maybe already been done by then. So, you know, maybe we won't see those same kind of numbers this next month. I hope we do. But certainly it was a nice pleasant surprise. Now keep in mind, you know, we are down on other taxes. As I mentioned 2 weeks ago, you know, our income tax was at least temporarily down, and of course we haven't had any gains tax for a couple months, so there's $10,000 a month we haven't gotten. But certainly this was not the doom and gloom that I had feared, you know, for sure. So anyway, are there any questions about the sales tax report?
Scott, Mayor Stevens here. I would just ask, have you seen anything? Are we getting reports still at the same time intervals as we have been getting them in the past, or did this last report come out sooner than expected?
You know, I think it was sooner, which really shocked me, because I was thinking originally, based on some of the previous voucher dates, that it would be right about now when we would know what our voucher amount was. So I just kind of whenever it was, last Thursday or last Wednesday, just kind of as an afterthought, I went on the state's website just to look, and I was, you know, floored that it was there already, you know. So and even more floored to see that it was a good number. So I don't know why that is, unless maybe they realize that there's an urgency to this whole process, or maybe they're throwing whatever resources they can towards getting that money out faster to the communities. I just don't know.
Thank you. That is all I have.
Okay, that's the only item under new business. Do we have any public comment under budget and finance? Sounds like there's no public comment, Mayor.
Thank you very much, WJ. That takes us to Building and Grounds, chaired by Mr. Gary McComb. Gary?
Okay, well, thank you. Under old business, there was nothing to discuss. Under new business, it's an agreement that the shooting range, and I'd like to really postpone this till next meeting so that you and Chief Elmar and Mr. Rose and Mr. The other guy over this, Strack, we could all sit down and have a little talk on it. I think this is going to put a strain on what they're trying to do. And I noticed in this contract, they got the school district made all these improvements, and actually the school district had nothing to do with it. I've had several calls on this today from residents, and I just like not vote on this tonight, so we can sit down and have a meeting. So I'm not going to bring it up for a vote.
Yeah, that's fine by me. I did notice that the agreement that was included in the packet had a couple of amendments that I have wanted to revisit as well. So I don't have a problem with that. Mr. McCarthy.
Appreciate that. And that's the only thing under new business. Do we have any public comment on Building and Grounds?
This is Holly Thompson. I logged on tonight, inquiring about the trap that you guys are going to postpone on voting on. And I just wanted to express as a resident, and I actually live close to where they will be shooting at. My son also shoots trap. That this is a great opportunity for my son that doesn't have opportunity to do it anywhere else. This is something he really enjoys, and he is careful at, and I want you guys to consider that, how it's going to impact our kids. I don't know what you guys are going to decide on and vote on, but I'm really hoping that you will take into consideration how much the youth is going to get from this program. Because it's not just the school district kids, it's homeschool kids, parochial kids. It's going to affect quite a few of the youth that want to participate in something that they may not ever get the opportunity to do so. That's all I have.
Thank you for your comment.
I think that's the
More
same.
comment on building and ground.
I would just say I think that's the same Holly Thompson that was on a broke down school bus with me on the way to the state football championship game. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. I thought I recognized your voice. So, in any case, thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. And if there's no other public comment, Gary, are you? I think you said we're good to come out of building and grounds.
Yes.
All right. Well, we will do so, and that takes us to community relations, chaired by Mr. John Irvis. John.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no old business. We have 2 items of new business. Consideration of request for use of Dawn Building parking lot on Murphysboro Main Street, Saturday, June 27th and Wednesday, July 1st. There's a email message from Tracy Hartung explaining it in our packet. Does anyone have any questions or concerns?
It looks like it's going to be a good event, and I say that we let them do what they need to do there.
I'd make a motion
I
so
would like
I
to
don't
make a
use it.
motion. I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? No. All right, that passes. Thank you. The second item is a request for street closures on Murphysboro Park District for Monday, July 6th.
I'd make that motion, let them do it.
Second.
Thank you. I just did have one thought or concern or just one thing to look at before we vote. Appreciate Mr. Fry adding, submitting a map with his request, because it certainly helps me at least put it in perspective and understand what it is they're wanting. My concern is, and maybe, you know, folks that are blocking off the street will know to do this, but it seems to me there needs to be a blockade and perhaps even another auxiliary behind Farm Fresh and the car wash, or to direct people, like, you know, because people are going to come off Walnut Street and they're going to get trapped there. They can use the alleys, but I think it would be helpful to have an auxiliary there to direct them down the alleys. So I think we should add that to the proposal.
Are you willing to make the motion?
Yeah, that's fine if someone wants, unless people think I'm nuts there or whatever, but I'm just concerned with people coming off Walnut Street that get trapped there, and certainly it would be helpful to have a barricade and an auxiliary there.
Alderman Irvin, Alderman Bratton, why don't you turn that over to Jamie and let him decide what needs to be there for safety and proceed with that?
Sure, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's just he knows what they're going to need and what they're not going to need, and you know that's part of his job, and that's his business. You know, and I sure am not going to make a motion to do anything, so that would be my suggestion on it.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I just, you know, if it needs to be amended by chief of the police department, that's fine. Just want everyone to be safe and traffic to be moving.
Correct.
Sure. All right. So we're ready for a vote. All in favor of the motion? Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes.
Alderman Irvis. Alderman, this is Barb. I wonder if we can address the unity rally that they're considering having tomorrow evening under this community relations.
Barb, I can speak to that under the mayor's report. I have some things that I can shed some light on it at that time.
Okay, I just didn't see it on your report, so I didn't know where it was going to be. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Barb. I was wondering myself, so. If there are no other public
Thanks.
comment, we can move
Done.
on. You're welcome, thank you. We can move on to community relations.
Thank you, Mr. Urbis. It takes us to public improvement, chaired by Alderman Mike Bastian.
Thank you, Mayor. We have nothing under old business this evening, and we have nothing listed under new business. Do we have any public comment? Okay, with that being said, I guess we can go out of public improvement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bastian. That takes us to Public Works, chaired by Mr. Dan Bratton. Dan?
Thank you, Mayor Stevens. Under old business, we have an update on railroad cleanup and damage to Shoemaker Drive. I don't know what the update, I mean, just from Shoemaker, it looks like they're done with it. I don't know, I didn't see any fencing yet. And,
I can provide an
I mean,
update on that.
you know, okay, if you would, please.
So I spoke with the lead from AECOM, which was the environmental company that was hired by Canadian National to do the cleanup. Spoke with him recently. I don't remember exactly what day it was, but in any case, I made him aware of the situation with the extra wear and tear on the road. I forwarded to him the estimates for repair of 3 different sections of that, and he told me that he would forward that to his contact with Canadian National, and that they would get a response to us fairly quickly on what they would be willing to do to help, make up for or make whole the road or some section of it that we believe was impacted by the work that was done. Just on a side note, they said that they would be coming back sometime in July to do some additional plantings and landscaping in and along and around that area. So that is what I have to report.
Thank you. The other thing under the old business is an update on the status of the road to the wastewater treatment plant. And Alderman Combs, I guess I owe you an apology because I forgot to call you and notify you, and you wanted to be notified. I guess I had a old age moment or whatever they call it. But
don't worry
Mayor,
about it, Dan.
Okay. Anyway, Mayor, you've talked to Mr. Sheffer since we've had that meeting. If you want to go ahead and bring the council up to date on that because you've got more information than I do.
We did have a meeting there last week with the lead person from Sierra Bravo. Expressed our discontent with the fact that the project hadn't been started yet, and he said that, of course, weather conditions had been bad and that they weren't making any money by having their equipment just sit down there. I asked him if he still was interested in even doing the project at all. He said that he was. One of the things that we've been dealing with is the pond, which is across the road from Jackie's house, and so one of the things we are looking at is seeing if we can do any realigning of the design to any extent such that it would make the pond a little bit less of a factor. And I know that Harold Sheffer is looking at that, and I think we're going to get some progress out of that because, well, we need to get it done. So that's really what I have to offer. I don't know if Harold Sheffer would have more to share about it, or Alderman Bratton or Alderman Pearson was there as well. Anybody's welcome to kind of illustrate it better than I did.
So do you have anything to add, Mr. Sheffer?
Yeah, the only thing I would add was that we did meet with Tim Hogan, Scott Hogan on Monday, and we are looking again at relocating that and bringing that more in line at the base of Jackie's driveway. So that would impact the pond by not having to go as deep on a side slope at that location. So hopefully, Tim's looking to see if that overburden that even though we are moving the road, there still is some overburden on the existing slope. But I think his initial opinion was that would be better than putting additional dirt on that area in the pond, which is nothing but it's a real soft, mucky mud. So hopefully he'll have something for us the next day or so, and we can get that realigned and talk with Jackie and get that resolved.
Okay. Mr. Pierce, do you have anything to add?
I'm good.
Go ahead.
I thought it was a productive meeting.
I think it was too. Go ahead, Alderman McComb.
Danny, my part about it, why we're worried about the pond so much and don't get the culverts under the main road, that pond road don't get underwater as quick as the main road for those guys to go in and out of the sewer plant. There's no excuse for this company not having those culverts in and working on that part. That's just all I got to say.
I'm not going to disagree with you, Alderman McComb, but it's I think we're finally making a little bit of progress.
I think one of his misconceptions was and Danny and the mayor were there. He's worried about damaging the road by working on the section up closer to the park. And I told him many times that we're not really worried about that road. It can roll and chip and it can be repaired. So I think he does get that now. But the pond issue is, I think, more on his case is getting it dry enough where he could get equipment down there because the slope does come out into that pond probably 15 to 20 feet.
Okay, there is no new business. Do we have any other comments, public or council member comments? If not, we'll come out of Public Works.
This is Holly Thompson again. I just had a question about that. Because I live off Peanut Hill on the backside of where you guys are putting the culvert. Will that cause our flooding to come higher with the culverts in?
I can't. Harold, you want to address that?
No, the culverts will actually are going to be bigger, and all it's going to do is just benefit the water moving in and moving out faster. So that area is protected by the railroad system also. So it's not going that water's not going to reach that high.
Okay, I was just checking. I just know sometimes it comes pretty high up the hill, and I didn't know if it was going to cause it, to be worse or it would help.
Okay, if there's no other comments, we'll come out of Public Works.
Thank you, Alderman Bratton. That takes us to Public Safety, chaired by Russell Brown. Russell, I do not believe, is on the call, so I'll handle these items. Under old business, we have discussion regarding the Gillenberg property. I don't have much to add to that other than the fact that I believe Joe Summers has gotten reports that he needed to be able to move forward. I think he has some question in his mind whether or not he got all of the reports that he had asked for, and I've been in communication with him, but I really don't have a whole lot to update on that particular item. Does anyone have any questions regarding it? All right, hearing none, there is no new business. Is there any public comment? All right, hearing no public comment on items of public safety, we'll come out of public safety and go into personnel, chaired by Ms. Barbara Hughes. Barb?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no old business. And we also have no new business. Is Sandra on the call?
Yes, I am.
I do, I'm sorry, but I do need to address a couple things with you. I think that you are wanting to do some interviews on the 15th Catherine?
That's correct.
Is that correct? I am available at that time. And you can go ahead and schedule those, other, two, appointments that we need to do on the, new employees, the 30-day review. That week, that week is almost all open for me, so you tell me a time when you're in your office and we'll go from there. I
Okay.
have talked with both of those supervisors as, and they know that those are going to happen.
Okay, I will get back with you.
Okay, thank you. As far as I know, there's no other business. Is there any public comment on personnel?
Ms. Hughes, I guess I would just say that we do have tentative agreements. They're not set in
Didn't
stone.
know if we haven't got anything signed, is that correct?
We have not, but I think we're all right just to update that we do have tentative agreements with the clerical and the fire department. There may be a few little details or language things to get ironed out, but I'd say by the next council meeting, we hope to have some concrete details to present. Would you think that'd be accurate statement,
Yes.
Lauren?
I think that's accurate statement. I can't see that the few little things that we need to iron out are going to slow anything down. I think that it would be good if we could have, Mark Brittingham, I guess that if we have those, available to hand out that night so that they can see the contracts if they want to, the aldermen, and it would be nice if Mark could present some of that, and be there for their questions.
I agree with that.
That's all that I have, on, contracts that I know of, Mayor, unless there's something else that you, would like to add.
I don't have anything else.
Okay, is there any public comment on personnel? Hearing none, I think we can go to your report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hughes. That does take us to the mayor's report, and we'll go to the update on the Rubel flooding issue. Before I go to Harold Sheffer, I'll say I did get a call today from Mike Austin, and he reports that there are some beaver dams between the entrance to the high school and the railroad that we may want to take a look at as we come throughout the rainy season. And he also said there are some trees down in that drainage between Blackwood Drive and the back of his home that could, help impede the flow of water. And so those are things to have in mind, generally speaking, about that whole drainage area. I know we've had this on the agenda for a long time. I don't feel like we're making much progress. Mr. Sheffer, do you have anything to share on this item?
I do, Mayor. We have made some with Scott Ling and David Cannon. We're trying to set up meetings with those two. Have not been able to contact Mr. Neighbor, and we have sent him a certified letter. The address is listed as 7 North 17th Street, which there's nothing there, but we did check with the post office and how he pays his taxes, so he is getting mail at that address somehow. So we did send a certified letter. So hopefully we'll set something up with him.
And I didn't follow you. Who did you send that certified letter to?
I don't recall his first name. His last name is Neighbor, Neighbors.
All right, that didn't come through very clear. You said his last name was Mavert?
Mayor, he owns just a small sliver that's impacted here that we have to talk to him.
I see.
I think his name is Anthony Neighbor.
Okay. Just trying to help Clerk Hunziker here keep some minutes that are anywhere close to resembling the people we're talking about is all. Just trying to help Clerk Hunziker keep proper minutes.
Mayor, this is Alderman Bratton. I'd like to make a comment on the beavers dams that's there. When's the school district going to take some financial responsibility? We spent thousands of dollars out there digging that ditch out, and I know that Darren's been out there at least twice, tearing out those beaver dams, and it's on their property, and it's like that, excuse my French, they could give a shit less about it.
Well,
And they step up to the plate with some financial help on this.
I would say that maybe we just need to re-communicate that. I know there is a new superintendent who was just recently hired, and so maybe a new view on things will yield a new result.
Well, I think definitely. I mean, we spent, I don't know, $25,000 out there. I think it was digging all that stuff out, and I don't know how much time Alderman McComb and I both went out there checking on stuff and trying to keep the job rolling. And it's like the other superintendent told me they had no interest in helping us on the expense of that on their property. So I think that somebody needs to talk to the new superintendent or something. I don't know.
Well, I will make a point. I have not met her yet as in her new role officially, but I will absolutely be meeting with her and talking to her soon, and I will make that a primary point of the discussion, and try to see what kind of feedback we can get on that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Certainly. Mr. Sheffer, anything else to add on this item?
No, as soon as we get the dates for meetings, we certainly will let whoever wants to do their notes while we meet with these property owners.
Well, I know that this isn't really an urgent item as long as it's not flooding, and it kind of reminds me about the farmer with the hole in the roof of his barn, and the guy asked him, why don't you fix the hole in the roof? And he said, because when it's not raining, it's as dry as anybody's barn, and when it is, it's too wet to fix the hole in the roof. And so I just want to continue to keep it on the agenda so that we can make some progress. And I know we are making progress, but I just wanted to emphasize that. Moving on to the continuation of review and discussion of billboard ordinances. I spent some time today taking a look at the situation we have here with billboards, and I think that in the previous meetings we've had a little bit of confusion about the process. I don't think it's because our attorneys have done a bad job of explaining it necessarily, but I thought it would be a good idea for me to just slowly reiterate what the process is and what I think we ought to do tonight. Essentially, in business 2, B2, which is where the proposed billboard would be constructed, current ordinance does not allow for billboards. Tonight, if we wanted to work toward allowing billboards, we would need, in my opinion, to vote to recommend to the Zoning Board of Appeals that billboards would be allowed as a special use with certain conditions inside business 2. So I just want to back up and say that again. If we want to do this, we are going to have to vote to recommend to the Zoning Board of Appeals. They consider what we recommend, and then they vote and send it back to us. And so that is the process. One of the things I think that we ought to do is allow a minimum separation between billboards that are facing the same flow of traffic of 1,000 feet. I have found in several ordinances throughout the state of Illinois that that is a distance that keeps these things from cropping up too much. IDOT already provides some limitation on sizes and heights, which were provided in the packet tonight. So that is some thoughts that I had. A special use situation would allow for the Zoning Board of Appeals to look at each one of these individually and consider whether it impacts residential or whether it, and there would have to be a published hearing put in the paper for 15 days, so it would be a transparent process, and we could charge a permit fee, I believe, under that type of way of doing it. So With that being said, I would, I guess, turn it over to first our attorney, Mr. Heller, to see if I said anything incorrectly, and then to the council for their feedback. Attorney Heller, are you with us this evening?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Mayor, I thought you said it very well. It does have to go to the Board of Appeals. It will take a little discussion, a little time to determine what we want the factors in, especially to be, and to coordinate the details. We probably couldn't be ready to pass the ordinance till the next meeting. That would have the detail we would need. Is that
Well,
long answer?
no, I think that's an all right answer. I think some pretty standard things that I have seen has been that no larger than 600 square feet per side, which would yield signs, say 20 by 30 or of course 10 by 60. Most of these ordinances do not allow the stand post to be more than 25 feet high, and the signs themselves can't be more than 30 feet high. If we put in a 1,000-foot minimum separation, I looked at the maps today, that would still allow for a billboard to be constructed on Mr. Greitner's property, because there is not one within 1,000 feet of that, so we wouldn't be tripping ourselves up in trying to treat him equitably. And it just looks like to me that we need to take a look at these. The 1,000 feet separation would be more restrictive than what IDOT currently allows, and I think I could put together what my suggestion would be in terms of some stipulations and guidelines, send them to the council for feedback, perhaps as early as tomorrow via email, and if we don't have any major objections to those stipulations, that we could get those into an ordinance ready to vote on at our next meeting.
You need a motion on that, Will?
I've got a question, Alderman Tom, before we make a motion. Okay. Mr. Robertson has one concern, because I've talked to him a couple different times since then. He's called me. Will there still be in this, this B2 district, would there still be retail allowed?
Oh yeah, there would certainly still be B2 allowed. It wouldn't change our retail. It wouldn't change any of the other uses inside of business too.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
You wouldn't change that. The fact that billboards were there wouldn't change. Son.
Mr. Bratton, did you get your question answered?
No, it broke up.
So essentially, it would not change any of the other uses in B2. Retail would still be allowed there.
Okay.
That would not be an issue.
Okay. Well, I know that he's going to call tomorrow and want an update, and he wanted to make sure that it does not affect the retail thing of it. So.
Mayor, this is Barbara. I do have one question. Would we still recommend that stay a B2 and just change the ordinance so that, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. We're just changing the ordinance so that they could have special use changes for that. It wouldn't really change the zoning. Is that correct?
It would make a billboard a special use allowed within the business 2 zoning district.
Okay, so it's not going to change the B2 district. It's only going to change a special use billboard allowance.
That's correct. It would not change the nature of B2 in any other way other than to say that if you want to put up a billboard in B2, that you would essentially have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. You'd have to present your design, and as long as it matched to the requirements that we set forth, then they could construct a billboard.
Okay, That makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
But I also would say that wouldn't necessarily, it would still give the zoning board of appeals the ability to deny one. Somebody could bring one and say, well, we want to put it up in B2. Well, we have some B2 that abuts residential, and they could decline that. It doesn't require them to allow it. I want to make that clear.
It would be up to them, case by case.
That is correct.
Thank you.
You still need that motion,
I don't think I need a motion tonight on this because I just don't think I'm quite ready. But Mr. Urbis, was that you I heard?
Yes, just a couple of comments. I don't want to say I've been opposed. I've been concerned about, opening the door to lots of billboards. I appreciate your thought about the 1,000 feet. I drove both area from, the river basically to Country Club and then up to Jackson Square. And Country Club is 2.5 miles, and if it were 500 feet, that would basically be one every 10th of a mile, which I think would be too much. So I would be agreeable to the 1,000-foot limit.
I think the 1,000-foot is good. I would have really been more comfortable even with more than that, but I don't want to make it so onerous that, we can't really do something that's, I didn't think I could get the votes to pass anything more restrictive. That's really, if I'm honest about it.
Yeah, and, there's a lot of areas there that it's going to be difficult for someone to put one, although, because of the river and that sort of thing, although, anyway, but yeah, I would not be opposed if it was 1,000 foot between signs.
All right, thank you.
Well, Alderman Pearson here.
Go ahead.
This 1,000 feet, does that, the signs that are already there, does that impact the 1,000 feet? 1,000 feet from one of them? I mean, there are some signs out there already, some billboards on 213.
Well, that's a very good question, Bill, and I'll be honest with you, the way that I wrote it down, I wrote it down as new billboards must maintain a 1,000-foot minimum separation from one another. But I don't know if that's the best thing or not. That's kind of a complicated, it's a good question, but it's a question that I don't know if I have a real good answer to. I don't know. I don't have a good answer to it. I thought about that, but I never was able to really settle on what I think would be best in my mind.
Yeah, okay. Well, it was just a thought. If you 1,000 feet from some of those, there's not going to leave very much room for new billboards in there. If we measure from those existing billboards.
Right. I'm going to have to think about that some more because
okay.
I don't. That's not quite settled in my mind yet.
Okay.
Mayor, this is Barb again. Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Marvin. It seems to me it should be, any existing billboard, which would be those that are existing, or any one that we would allow going forward. That's just my suggestion.
Ms. Hughes?
That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say. Thank you, John. I do have one comment that I would just like to tell council. Even though I have such mixed emotions about the fact that, yes, we need new businesses here, I was pretty much adamantly opposed to this process. And I thank you, Mayor, for giving us this option or letting us know this option about not changing it from a B2 and that they can always say no. They can make a decision and that the 1,000 feet is good. I do think it, like John said, though, it should include existing.
And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I wondered too, was Mr. Heller, am I correct that in terms of this special use, that the city could charge, say, $500 or something for a permit for a billboard?
I don't know the numbers, but I think that we could charge a significant number, yes. Richard might know the answer to
I
that.
strictly don't think that $500 is significant when you think with the money they're going to put into a billboard. I think that's an insignificant amount.
Well, I don't know if
About this.
I would,
Banks pay $600 for a permit every year. We have X amount for every gaming thing, and for, I think that you should really, number one, we need to find out if we can do that, but I think if they're gonna put thousands and thousands of dollars into that billboard, they can afford to pay a fairly good, permit fee.
Mayor, this is WJ.
Yeah, WJ.
I will say that most of the time, the people that are doing the billboard and putting thousands and thousands of dollars into constructing the billboard aren't the property. It's the company that pays them to let them use a piece of their property. So
I do understand that. Thank you.
yeah, to assume that person put in $1,000, and so $500 is just a pittance, that's not always the case. I'm not
Thank you,
saying
Debbie,
it
for
won't always.
calling that to my attention. Yeah.
And I think the one other thing, and then we can move on from it, but there is somewhat of a difference between a permit fee for a digital sign, in my opinion, and a permit fee for a more old school analog sign. The digital signs certainly realize a lot more revenue because of the ability to turn over more ads. But we can look at all that and settle on something that makes sense.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, is there anything else on the conversation regarding billboards? All right, well, I will, and Ms. Ripley, please remind me to, and stay on me to get an email out about the requirements, recommendations, guidelines for billboards to the council for them to consider, and then maybe we can get something together for our next meeting. Moving to discussion regarding the location of the council meeting on June 23rd. I have thought about this quite a bit, and I think that with all of the reopening happening back on May the 29th, and here we are on June the 9th, it may be too soon to meet in person because we know that the cases of coronavirus, the numbers are typically 2 weeks behind. And I would like to see us look for getting back together and meeting in person at the first meeting in July. We will likely be in the next phase of reopening at that time, and we'll be able to know whether or not we have seen a drastic increase in cases due to churches holding, services, and restaurants, bars being back open, and things like that. That is my perspective on it, and I'm willing to hear anybody else's. Of course, that meeting
sounds better to me. July sounds better to me than June. I think we ought to wait till we get down
Sounds better
next
to
phase.
me too. Yeah, I think
Well,
we need to
you can
get
always-
the phase 4 before we do it.
We can always have everybody wear a mask at those meetings too to come in.
Yeah, definitely, and I think we would, of course, look to the Davis McCann Center or something like that to have the meetings. But I think we do need to get back to meeting fairly soon in person, if possible, because we do lose a lot on these teleconferences and just the inability to have as free-flowing a conversation as we would have in person. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm shooting for, and it sounds like everybody else is mostly in agreement.
Mayor, I just had one comment about that as well. Alderman Irvis, we talked about at the next meeting potentially having the union contracts to look at. That would be much easier to do at a in-person meeting than not, especially if we would need a closed session or something. So if that wouldn't be till July, I'm thinking maybe we should not do that till July if that's possible. So.
I agree, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
I agree with that, John. Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing further on that, I'll go to the appointment here that we have listed. A man by the name of Bruce Leonard reached out to me and has an interest in the Historic Preservation Commission. I think he would be a good candidate, and I think I remember sending out information about his background. Is there any questions about Mr. Leonard's appointment?
I make a motion to appoint him, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman McComb. Is there a second?
Second, Purvis.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, that takes me to a couple of other things that did not make it to the agenda, but I want to make sure to bring up. I had emailed the City Council about a unity rally at Smizer Plaza. I've been talking with Pastor Lawrence Nolan from Servants Outreach for Christ. I've also been talking to Pastor M.D. Anderson and Stephen Robinson. They had a number of them some scheduling conflicts for this coming Thursday, so we have decided to postpone that until a still to be determined time. But you know, as we continue to think about that, I will certainly be updating the aldermen on it. I could talk more generally about it, but suffice to say that we're not going to be able to get things together for this coming Thursday. Is there any further questions or comment about that?
I think it's a wonderful thing to have. I hope it's just postponed, not put off completely. I would think that might be nice to put on the website that it has been postponed, because some of us may have been telling people about it. I didn't know that it wasn't a go.
Well, yes, I'm more than happy to put something out there.
If you would do that, or maybe on your Facebook page or something, because I just hate for people to show up and then we not have it.
Sure, no, I understand that, and I will be sure to do that. And no, I do not want it to be put off. It's certainly something that I am, thinking of as being postponed, and it really was simply just a matter of, as I began to start to, talk to people. People were saying to me, "Yeah, I'm happy to participate. Let me double check my schedule." People were double checking schedules. Things were getting in the way, doctor's appointments and whatever, and so. We're still working on it.
Good, thank you.
All right. The other thing that didn't make it on the agenda, but I promised some people that I will bring it out this evening, and I'd like to have it on the agenda for the next council meeting, is a number of concerns that have been expressed to me about the volume of noise coming from the asphalt plant at the industrial park. And in particular, these are folks that live in and around the Barbarossa subdivision area. I was called upon by a number of residents who live there. They asked me to come out and listen while the plant was in operation. I agree with them that it is certainly a noise that you can hear, and it is louder than a person might suspect. And so they asked me to bring it to the council, and it's not on the agenda tonight, obviously, but I think that we need to let those folks know that they are being represented. And so if anybody has any questions about that between now and the next meeting, I'll be more than happy to share what I've heard from folks specifically and go from there. And I don't have anything else under the mayor's report, so I suppose that takes me to council member requests, and I'll start with Ms. Hughes. Ms. Hughes, are you on the call?
Sorry, I'm talking. Yeah, I am. I'm talking and I had it on mute. I apologize. I don't have anything, Mayor. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate it. Go to Mr. Pearson.
I have nothing.
Go to Mr. Brown. Ms. Curry-Witzman.
I do have one thing that I neglected to mention.
under, public safety, I guess. On the, I guess the north side of Shoemaker, somewhere almost kind of across from like, Tri-County School, there's a, I don't know, an oak tree or whatever, that the bottom of the tree is growing out. And so when you come down, 17th Street and you stop at the stop sign and you look right, you can't see any of the oncoming traffic, and I just don't want anybody to pull out and have a wreck there. I don't know if that would be personal property or something the city would have to need to cut back.
All right, thank you, Ms. Curry-Witzman. I will, Darren Mills, I believe, is on the call tonight. Darren, if you could take note of that and take a look at that situation, and then either take the action if needed, if it's on city property, and if not, we can send a letter or try to figure out something else.
I sure will.
Thank you. Was there anything else, Ms. Curry-Witzman?
No, that's all.
All right, thank you. We'll go to Mr. Bratton. Mr. Bratton? All right. Cannot hear Mr. Bratton, or maybe he isn't on the call any longer.
No, I'm on the call. Can you not hear me?
I couldn't hear you, but I can now.
Okay. I'd just like to thank you and the attorneys for working on this billboard ordinance, and I think that the spacing by the state was a little too shy. I'm glad to see that moved up. And I'm thinking by the comments that were made that no one is really just totally against this, but we want to make sure that we get the spacing right, and we'll just go from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bratton. We'll go to Mr. Pittman.
I have nothing, Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Bastian?
Yes, I have nothing this evening, Mayor, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Campos?
Nothing this evening. Thank you so much.
Mr. Urbis?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Mr. McComb?
Yeah, well, I've got 4 kids coming in the morning at 7 o'clock from the community service program. They clean up Shoemaker Drive again, and WJ's got a spot that he wants done. I'm doing a little different because I'm not hauling these kids around in my vehicle anymore. I let them meet me and sign them their work. I will have 4 girls cleaning up Shoemaker Drive in the morning at 7 o'clock.
I appreciate you sharing that with us, and I always have said it before, I'll say it again. I appreciate the hard work you do working with those kids. It really makes a difference, makes the community look better, and it's a good thing all around. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, I believe that is all of the council members. We'll go to a department head request. We'll start with Ms. Volley.
I have nothing, thank you.
Go to Mr. Van Waring.
I have nothing either, thanks.
Chief Ellemeyer. He's here in the council chambers. He's going to share something with us.
Yeah, I want to inform the council that 2 of our officers that we hired previously graduated from the academy last Friday. They've already passed their state test and got the results on that. Officer Caleb Clover and Ben Thomas. And Ben Thomas finished number 1 in the academics overall in the entire class out of 69 graduates. And once we get back in full meeting in chambers, we'll have a little certificate or something for him. But, that's a pretty big accomplishment to score number 1. He got over a 96.2 average, I believe.
Thank you very much, Chief. That's great news. All right, that'll take us to Mr. Mills.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Lee. Mr. Gladson, are you on the call?
I have nothing here.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy?
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Heller?
Nothing here.
Clerk Hunziker?
No.
Ms. Ripley?
I just wanted to state that I heard the citywide cleanup was a great success this year, and I'm really glad that we put that together every year and for our residents.
It was a good success. I was down there, hauled a few things there, and I know that Darren and Gary and the rest of the crew worked real hard that day, and we filled up quite a few dumpsters. Gary, do you know, did we fill up everything that we'd ordered, or how many dumpsters did we use, or do you know? Gary may have already exited the scene.
He told me Saturday morning, Friday they had already filled up and rolled out 8 to 10 dumpsters. And
Wow.
that's usually how many they do both days in previous years.
So we did 8 to 10 dumpsters just on Friday, Clerk Hunziker says, and that's typically what we do over the course of both days. Darren, you were there. What did you see?
I believe we were around 15 full dumpsters, and we probably would have had 6 or 7 dumpsters full of just scrap metal. So it was a good turnout.
Good. Thank you, Ms. Ripley, for pointing that out and reminding me about this good event. Take me to Mr. Sheffer.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Thank you. And take me to Scott Evans.
That's tonight, Mayor, thank you.
I don't know if I've gotten to everybody or not. Is there anyone I failed to mention? All right, if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.